Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today's kind of a sad one for me because we're doing winter prep. Now the weather isn't that crazy in Oregon, especially in the Willamette Valley. We don't deal with a lot of snow or ice or anything like that. So I do get to drive my cars during the winter. The winter more than anything just marks a moment for me to make sure that all the basic maintenance is caught up on, which is something I have to do in particular to the white MR2. So I'm kind of happy that this car is getting some attention because I feel like it typically gets neglected because Turbo over there is taking up all my time and money. On a quick side note, because I mentioned that I call my car Turbo even though it's supercharged, it has nothing to do with the type of forced induction. It has to do with the fact that the car is similarly colored to that snail from the movie Turbo by Disney. So it's a movie reference and nothing else. I figured I'd say that because I always get that question. Alrighty guys, now that we're done playing musical chairs with the cars, we can start getting down to business. So today, what we got to do is change the oil. I need to adjust the e-brake because, well, it's bad. Let me just show you. So as you guys can see, no engagement, no engagement, engagement, engagement. It reaches up so high. So that's not a good thing. The other thing I got to do is change out the clutch fluid because it's not in the best of shape. If I can get this open, one of the issues I've also been dealing with is this car was in a wreck, right? And the hood latches, or the hood hinges more like it, are actually bent. And I've never replaced them mainly because I've been cheap and lazy more than anything. So over time they've gotten more bent and now the hood doesn't open all the way or correctly. So I gotta push it over and then it comes up. So that's definitely a project for this coming winter. Anyways though, here's a kind of a quick look at the fluid in the clutch system. Not the best, not the worst, definitely needs replacement. For comparison, you guys can see the fluid in the brake system is a lot better shape. With the wheel still on, I want to see if I can actually move everything, even though I have the e-brake ink. Oh, it's in gear. Oh, wow. I actually wonder if the cable itself just snapped. At the minimum, it's stretched. Yeah, the e-brake should be engaged, but it's not. Let's go check the other side. Got the... Okay. That's not going anywhere is the point. So I'm fairly positive the cable either snapped or is extremely stretched on the driver's side, because on the passenger side, it engages with no issue. Either way, it just makes sense to replace the cable. They're pretty cheap. I might as well just do them in pairs since I'm already in there. But that's gonna have to wait for another day because I have to order them. So next we're gonna go to bleeding the clutch. Well guys, the process of bleeding the clutch is really simple. Take off this little cover and then we'll get to this little bleeder valve up here on the slave cylinder. On an unrelated note, guys, if you happen to have some of these under trays for the MR2, I would highly suggest protecting them like no other because they are super hard to find a complete set from my experience. The way I like to bleed the clutch is super simple. Since I'm by myself, I actually use this little vacuum pump that's handheld. The way it works is you take off the cap for the reservoir for the clutch fluid. You then put a little 10 millimeter spanner over the bleeder valve, crack it open, and then you just start pumping with the vacuum pump and it's gonna pull the brake fluid out. Probably one of the worst things about this system is that you have to continuously keep pumping and pumping and pumping. But it eventually works itself out. Ideally, I'd have like a vacuum bleeder that uses air, but I don't have an air compressor. I forgot to mention this earlier, but you never want to let the reservoir run dry. So what I was doing is at about halfway of each bottle, which was about 60 milliliters, I was coming over here and topping it off. As you guys can see, that's nice and clear now. Well guys, it's actually the next day. I got a little tired, wanted to have some dinner, so I just called it a night. But anyways, the clutch itself feels really, really good. So we're going to move on to that oil change. I actually lost my safety goggles, so I'm doing my best to kind of stay out from underneath the car because I don't really want anything getting in my eyes. That's not a very fun time. Boom. But yeah, that oil is definitely pretty dark and was definitely time to be changed. Next thing we're going to do is change out the oil filter, and it's pretty easy unless the car is hot because it's right next to the exhaust manifold, so it'd be really easy to burn yourself. One of the things I do when I'm removing the oil filter is I actually pull out the oil dipstick, just because that gives you a little bit more room to work with. Getting the surface all cleaned up. And she's all good to go. Well guys, Layla is good to go. Feels really good to be working on her again. I've really neglected her, so to be back wrenching on her, it's a good feeling. More than anything, I just have a lot of memories with this car, so it has a really, really deep place in my heart. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.